Marisol Tidebreaker met the world on 3 July 1998 in a driftwood cabin balanced above the tidal flats of Rosario Strait, Washington. Dawn Mist curled through cedar rafters, while her mother, a gypsy jazz accordionist who stores pressed foxglove petals in her bellows lining, teased a lazy, chromatic run that made the clamshell walls vibrate. Her father, a salvage diver turned kelp forest cartographer who sketches cloud dragons on boat manifests, bent so close their cheeks brushed, and swore his daughter would never let breakers, crab pot rumors, or shoreline fences force her frame smaller than the horizon she carried in her chest. Curves rippled through the Tidebreaker bloodline the way eelgrass swings with moon pools, so nobody gasped when baby Marisol popped her second flannel wrap before the oystermen fired their galley sew. Grandma Peregrina slid a sail needle under every torn thread, patched the blanket with bits of chartreuse tarp, and laughed that extra cloth cost pocket coins. But teaching a child to shrink could cost her whole continents of sunrise. Gray school air held the scent of pencil dust, cormorant guano, and sea salt drifting in cracked panes. Marisol already stood a shoulder above her classmates, shading the projector beam whenever she diagrammed predicate adjectives. One drizzle scolded recess. A pair of boys circled her, crowing fairy barge every hop her boots made through the chalk grid. That evening, she combed the rack line, gathered soda caps, polished mirrors soft by tide churn, dreaded them on trot line, stitched the tinkling chain down her sapphire hoodie, and strolled into reading circle next dawn, scattering rainbow shards across the ceiling tiles. A volunteer aide snapped 7 shaky seconds on a flip phone, uploaded the clip to a newborn video nook, and by lunch, 14,000 strangers applauded the girl who bent mockery into lighthouse light. Marisol wrote a vow in violet ink on her math sheet margin: clouds crowd until I flash them bright. Weekends belonged to Lopez Cay, where her mother's accordion tango tangled with the snap of mussel shells, the hiss of hot salmon collars, and the thud of crab pots. Store jeans jammed halfway up Marisol's thighs, so she swapped tip jar coins for sun-washed fishing net, unraveled it into rope, crocheted high-waist culottes, and misted orca silhouettes with squid ink before posing at sunset against rust-flecked bollards while her cousin snapped grainy frames. She stuffed each shot into a diary she named Straight Lantern. The very week, a sleek photo app drifted through patchy island towers. Captions flitted from Coast Salish proverbs to plain English truths. Curves anchor squalls steadier than seawalls. By 16, she counted 52,000 distant hearts tapping every vermilion selfie. Proof that far screens hush cafeteria snickers louder than any hall monitor hiss. An ecology scholarship carried her south to the University of California, Santa Cruz. Daylight vanished inside Kelpdrome Labs. Nights belonged to a 24-hour pupusa truck glowing neon mango beside redwood trunks. The heat lamp doubled as her softbox. Between Curtito orders, she shot 90-second reels, twisting parchment wrap into poppy barrettes while teaching dart rotation in a voice half-tied hush, half lecturing. One clip layered sea lion barks over a pocket synth groove while she chain-stitched reflective anchor cord into thrift denim. 48 hours later, it sailed beyond 1 million plays. Monterey-style blogs crowned her the pupusa couturier, yet sponsor emails still froze at size 16. Marisol funneled each note into a folder labeled shrinking nets, wiped salsa roja from her cuff, and flipped another masa pillow. May King Tide carried an email from Columbia Sportswear inviting her to design a windshell capsule called Current Pulse. She replied with 3 immutable terms: patterns stretching to 60-inch hips, half the crew hired from community college fashion grads, and 10% of net profit routed into eelgrass beds along the strait. Columbia signed before sunrise fired the fog. The chute opened at dawn on Casa Reef, where barnacle shards glittered like mirror dust. Beehive's robot coached Curvy freedivers as they slipped through kelp columns while a drone wrote silver loops overhead. When the lookbook dropped, every extended-sized shell vanished within 41 hours across 26 nations. Straight Lantern surged past 700,000 followers. Still smelling of cumin beans, she ducked behind flour sacks, balanced her phone on a vinegar keg, and livestreamed tear-bright thanks to a choir of buzzing fluorescent. Pause your scroll a moment and tag the crimson subscribe badge before it vanishes like slack tie. One fingertip hoists you to the rail for each fresh voyage long before algorithm winds decide who else climbs aboard. Burigols soon spun above the pier. A gossip blog insisted Marisol lashed carbon plates around her waist beneath each jacket. Next dawn, she paddled a cedar board across glass water, stood tall in sport bra and linen shorts, traced every stretch stripe with crushed lupin, then squeezed an accordion riff that bounced off basalt. 10 million viewers reposted the jam under their phrase, lupin proof, dusting violet pollen over their own curves until whispers drift out with the ebb. Poopusa wages entwined with capsule royalties to birth Tidebreaker Glow, a whipped custard folding spruce tip butter, blackberry seed oil, and mica sparks that glimmer pearl under foam flash. 19,000 tins cooled on her father's dock bench, lids tied with braided crab line, each tag stamp moisturize your horizon. Inventory vanished in 83 minutes, lifting $198,000. 20% launch Beacon grants, shipping heavy-duty surgers and hydrophones to plus-size teens in clifftop schools from Astoria to Arcata. Within 9 months, 36 grantees stage a floating fashion and whale song show aboard a repurposed oyster scow, draped in LED kelp, streaming to sunrise anchors from Dakar to Dublin. Seattle Fashion Week etched new harbor legend when a backstage blower sliced her emerald mesh gown from rib to knee with 80 seconds till lights up. Marisol whipped neon dock rope from a truss, laced the gap like boot hooks, and strode the runway as if the splice had sat in the sketch since day one. Camera shutters cracked like saltine ice, Vogue Cascade labeled the save rope cadence, and another million lantern voyagers surfaced before vinyl needles hissed over first track. A disgruntled aide later leaked trimmed emails claiming she demanded sturgeon sliders and chauffeured hovercraft for her rescue pelican Nimbus. She fired back by publishing every line: refillable water jars, lentil stew for crew, caption screens for deaf stylists. That month's affiliate Harvest, $138,000, funded biodegradable crab trap pilots in Padilla Bay. Fans echoed her pier mantra, receipts burn brighter than rumor grit, until whispers flattened like barnacles under low tide. Summer numbers glinted like glass minnows, 6.8 million Instagram allies, 3.3 million real voyagers, and just beyond 2 million steady channel subscribers, engagement scraping 10% and sending brand planners back to blank boards. Cartier invited her to headline a Topaz Surge film inside Deception Pass Lighthouse Lens. She said yes after Cartier pledged therapy stipends for oyster deckhands bruised by super tides. The final clip, her wrist scattering amber shards across iron ribs, became the house's most bookmarked post of the quarter. Family steadies her rudder. Twice each month she streams strings and steam. Mom bends blue scales on accordion beside a propane griddle. Dad recites cloud haiku, and Marisol flips thrift denim under fairy bulbs. One session peaked at 9 million when Nimbus waddled through powdered sugar and sneezed a snowstorm at the camera. A seabird refuge now sponsors every stream, tracking rehabilitated pelicans with solar beacons financed by Tidebreaker Glow. Glow revenue crested 12 million by year 2. She leashed an idle salmon smokehouse, carved skylights through corrugated tin, and hired furloughed deckhands plus design grads to whip and jar custard. Every tin notch shut by hand during midday stretch dances set to accordion house loops. Efficiency gurus pitched shrink bands. She repeated her mother's creed. Fingertips store legends long after robots forget, and rope ties remain. Her feed overflows with mental health candor. Granite rim portraits sit beside chowder truck selfies, caption, same sky, different weather. Breath loops recorded beneath tide caves, linked to grounding pages in English and Chinook Wawa Plus, sliding scale therapy portals. 111,000 readers credit her shoreline honesty as their first calm harbor. Community rides, shimmer and crush your paint. Hundreds coast the breakwater at dusk, wearing Tidebreaker Glow on collarbones and LED sea glass tassels on spokes. Ticket proceeds enlarge beacon grants and install wheelchair snorkel lifts at rocky points. Crab shacks simmer late because bisque bowls leap 15% on ride nights. Marisol leads on a vintage cruiser with Nimbus plush bungeed in a wicker cradle, pausing to lace any rider's drifting shoe. She is drafting a memoir titled Currents Keep Names for 11 language releases next spring, while a documentary crew trails her plan to turn retired Noah buoys into mobile maker labs for coastal high schools. Puma's Wide to Wave lantern sneaker drops next quarter, threaded in reflective cord and cushioned by algae foam, steering 10% of revenue into beacon grants hugging the Pacific Rim. If that red subscribe badge still pulses on your screen, anchor it gray right now. That single click locks your berth, so the next swell whispers to you first. When playback quiets, dive into the description. Waiting there, fresh Tidebreaker glow jars, express beacon grant gates, tonight strings and steam playlists, and a discreet compass, a research-built map of conversation sparks and calm confidence drills charting the clearest course to real love in the most reliable way to make every woman you meet feel that unmistakable spark. Free, no sign-up walls, one tap away. If the soda cap, spine, rope cadence gown rescue, or nimbus sneeze sparked a smile, punch the like heart, drop your bolus wave in the comments, and send this voyage to a friend whose sails hang slack. Every curve redirects currents, every scar refracts moonlight, and the sailish sea bows to anyone who plants both boots on the pier and greets tomorrow unblinking. Softest final breeze brushes the mic. Subscribe now, claim your rail, and meet me on the next rising tide when a fresh story flickers beyond the breakers and courage calls your name again.